Hello, and welcome to another edition of Chamber Chat Live, brought to you by the Tri-County Chamber of Commerce, dedicated to building communities, creating connections, and supporting commerce. Special thanks to our sponsor, Tim Hillert and Simply PEO. From workers' compensation to human resources support, Simply PEO is the employer's champ. Special thanks as well to our host, Bill Vitiello, representing the Victory Bank. And now, on to our program.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Chamber Chat Live here with the Tri-County Area Chamber of Commerce. My name is Bill Vitiello. I am the Institutional and Business Development Manager from the Victory Bank. Thank you so much for tuning in today, whether you're listening on the podcast or you're watching us on Facebook Live or YouTube maybe, or possibly even catching us on the replay. We sincerely appreciate you, again, just consuming the content. It's really important that we connect this way, especially nowadays. But before we start, there's a few folks that I would like to thank as part of this Chamber Chat Live process, and that is Drew Griffin from Delicious Marketing. Drew, thank you so much for doing behind the scenes. We'd like to thank the Chamber for continuing their support of Chamber Chat Live, Eileen and Danielle, with all the scheduling. We also like to thank Simply PEO, our sponsor. They are the employer's champ. I feel like there should be some music with that or something. We're the employer's champ. Yeah. And we like to thank the good students over at the Communicating Arts and Production Group from the Montgomery County Community College who were kind enough to do the intro and the outro. I was saying to Drew earlier, we might actually have them on at some point. I think it's that would be cool to get them going. But so my guest today, these are two folks that I've met before, which is great because the podcast or the Chamber Chat Live brings folks together that I've never met and folks that it's great to talk to again. So my guests today are Kevin Gaines. Kevin is the Chief Investment Officer, and Stephane McCullough. She is the President at American Financial Management Group. Hi, guys. Welcome to Chamber Chat Live.
Hi, Bill. How are you?
Thanks, Bill. Excited to be here.
Doing good. So I was looking at your backgrounds. You guys are actually at the office here?
We are.
Yes.
Nice. So I know we've talked a number of different times, and we're going to talk about a few different topics today. I know some are going to be very educational, and others are just going to be us, kind of telling us about ourselves personally. So let's start there. Let's start with you, Kevin, since you're in my left block there, I guess you'd say.
All right.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, and go ahead. I'll just let you take it from there.
Kevin Gaines, like you said, Chief Investment Officer at AFMG. Been doing this for as long as I've been an adult, which I don't know, says I either love what I do or I can't think of anything better to do. But either way, happy to be on here again. Had a great time doing it last time. So happy to reach out and be able to talk about what we're doing at AFMG and hopefully, connect and help people do more with their retirement planning and figuring out how to live their second half of their life.
Yeah. So Kevin was on our podcast before, which was the audio only piece. But he's now on for video. So here he is. He's got the professional microphone and everything. And we're going to talk about that in a second. That's all we're going to talk about is the microphone.
Well, you were on the microphone. So,
so Stephane, how about you? Please introduce yourself.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Stephane McCullough. This was a career change for me moving into financial planning, but that was 23 years ago. So I've been around the block a couple times. I have two kids who, believe it or not, are actually in college. My freshman went off to the dorm, but we have to move him out before Thanksgiving for 3 months. So I got to adjust to being an empty nester for 3 months, and then I'm going to have to adjust back to having them back at home for 3 months. So wish me luck.
Yeah. You know what? It's typical 2020, right? Like just having to just shift and move and do whatever you need to make things function. But so let's talk about obviously what you both do for a living and how you help folks. And Kevin, I'll throw this first question to you, and it's a very blanket question. So kind of take it wherever you feel you need to take it. What's going on right now? Like how do we look at 2020? And how do we look ahead as to what might be coming in the future? I know you have your crystal ball on order, but it hasn't come in yet.
Yeah, I do. It's been on back order for about 25 years now, and
But do your
keep
best.
hoping one day it's going to show up. And this is really hard for people to mentally accept, including a lot of us in this industry. The best way to treat 2020 is, generally speaking, ignore it. For a lot of us, it's because we focus on planning, not day trading or trying to find the next hot stock or mutual fund to buy. We're definitely looking longer term. 2020 will, yes, it has impacted some people, layoffs or unfortunately, changes in the family structure, shall we say. But for a lot of us, it's really not going to change our long-term goals. Yes, the markets have gone down and gone back up and interest rates have done this and that. But overall, most of our goals really haven't changed. We still want to retire in 10, 15, 5 years, depending on who we are. That hasn't changed. So don't make any radical decisions just because of something in the headlines, whether you like the headline or not. It doesn't need to create a reaction necessarily for you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, that's great advice. Stephanie, I'm going to ask you. So Kevin kind of gave us the broad 2020, but I actually want to get into 2020 a little bit. How are you navigating your clients through 2020? So all this hit back in March, I think, is when it really, first started. We've been going through it in the summer. We're now through the fall. It continues. So how are you helping your clients through that? What type of advice are you giving them?
Yeah, the first thing is communicating, right? Reaching out and saying, how are you? Like, no, really, I want to know. How are you doing? How's your health? How's your family? What's going on? If you're still working, how's your job situation? Are you feeling anxious? Are you feeling secure? Because although Kevin's right, big picture, hopefully this is a blip in the long-term plan. It's still, it's real. We're living through it. So we want to hear how people are managing, because that drives everything that we recommend. People will say, oh, what should I do? And our answer is always, it depends, right? And then we ask 7 questions. So getting clear on, maybe the job doesn't feel as secure anymore. Okay, well, that would mean, okay, maybe you're going to retire, whatever that might look like, before you thought. How do we adjust things in that scenario? Maybe money that we thought was long-term money isn't anymore, or it might not be. So those are the kinds of things that can affect your investment strategy. I'll say one of the things that clients are more willing to talk about, sadly, is the risks, right? The what could go wrong to blow up the plan, whether it's maybe I do need that life insurance, or tell me again about long-term care and long-term care insurance. How does that work? So I am having more conversations about that kind of stuff, which I think is good. You need to put that in place before you need it.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think the ultimate goal here is to have more conversations. In fact, I just spoke with somebody this morning who asked me a question about investing, and I'm not a licensed investor, right? And I said, "Do you have a plan?" He's like, "I do not." I'm like, "We need to get you a plan. Like you need to talk to somebody." So you're right. To I think kind of navigate these, you need somebody trusted who you can reach out to and just bounce these scenarios off of, right? Like it's one of those things. So Kevin, you're a fairly local guy, right?
I am. Live in Sanatoga. Normally say Pottstown, but for Chamber Chat. So yeah, Sanatoga, people know where that is. We have our main office down here in Berwyn. So I get the how would you say it? The opportunity to travel 422 every morning and afternoon, which, as many of us know, is one of the more fun aspects of living where we do.
Sure.
But, and then, especially with COVID, end up working from home more often than not, which, it's nice. It's, not driving 422 again. So I'll definitely promote that.
But I also know you've been flexible with, meeting clients either via Zoom or by phone, like whatever their preference is, really, right?
Right. And we've always been flexible on that because, everybody has their own schedule. A lot of people work 9 to 5. You can't take off in the middle of the day to go see your financial advisor. What one, I guess, silver lining from everything that's happened in the last 6 months is more people are comfortable using Zoom and other type of products like that they're more comfortable having these conversations instead of thinking, oh no, we've got to be in person, and it's easier to schedule and just have a quick conversation with people.
Yeah. And Stephanie, where are you from, please?
I live in Bryn Mawr.
Okay.
Went to Radnor High School, so I'm a Delco person.
Nice.
By birth and growing up.
Nice. So as a host here, I can sit there and ask a gazillion questions, right? I'm sure there's things that people are curious about, different scenarios on how to handle, what might be in the future or something like that. But you guys have actually been quite entrepreneurial in your thought process through all this, and you've actually started a podcast. Am I correct?
Yes,
that's right.
Okay, so I guess I'll turn it over to Stephanie first. Stephanie, you want to tell me a little bit about the podcast, please?
Sure. It was, kind of in the idea phase for a long time. As you remember, we had a lunch with you a long time ago, I think, and you were very helpful in kind of, making it seem less impossible than it kind of does.
It
when you
felt
just
like
listen
forever
to
and a day ago.
right? Yeah. We actually got together in a restaurant.
Yeah, that thing. Right.
But we were looking for a way to, our whole thing is trying to make financial things and money and investing less overwhelming, less like a kind of a topic for only, experts and people who went to business school. Like, that is not the way it is. We all have to deal with money, like it or not. It's a reality of our world. So how can we make the information available, accessible, and hopefully enjoyable? So we came out with Take Back Retirement a couple months ago now. I think we've got 6 or 7 episodes out there in the world, trying to get them out twice a month, and really focused on talking to women, which is kind of my, area of focus, who are looking towards whatever retirement might look like with some anxiety and feeling like, oh shoot, I should start thinking about this now. How do I kind of even frame the thoughts and the questions?
Mm-hmm. Well, I was going to ask you about that too, because working with women specifically. So tell me why you gravitate towards working with women. I know you'll meet with anybody, but the focus is more on women. So why that focus?
For me, when I first started in the industry, I was in charge of working on the retirement plan at a hospital. And I would go up quite a few times a week and meet all people from all different shifts. And, when you think about it, it makes sense. Some vast majority of the employees at a hospital are women. I'm not talking the C-suite. There was maybe one woman there. And when I was there, most of the physicians were men, but then the nurses and on down mostly were women. So I was having one-on-one meetings with a ton of women who either had outsourced the financial stuff to a man in their life who may or may not have done a good job or might have run off, or they avoided the whole topic because they just felt it was too kind of scary. Or they trusted somebody in our industry who didn't necessarily do the right thing. Sold them something, got a big commission, and never answered the phone again, which just makes me so angry. So that was kind of percolating in my mind. And then the hospital fired us. So I was like, I have some time. And here's this thing I've been thinking about, trying to put together a focus on making this more approachable for women. So that was the opportunity.
Nice. So I've listened to a few of your episodes so far, and I have to tell you, you guys do a really nice job.
Oh, thank you.
It's very so, and I think I might have even gave you some feedback in my email that you can tell you have an outline, like there's an agenda of what you want to talk about, but yet there's enough for your own personal feedback and kind of interjecting your thoughts into that, which is very organic. I think it's great for a listening audience because it keeps us on track of the episode. There's a lot of podcasts on there that'll sit there and go for 2 hours, and all of a sudden you're completely lost. You're like, wait a second, where was I at? Right. But you guys do a really nice job of organizing those episodes. So from a listener perspective, thank you. So what were just like we've all been challenged with things in 2020. What have been some of the challenges with the podcast, if you don't mind answering that?
Go ahead, Kev.
I would say it's getting guests has been an adjustment because we were planning on when we're first doing this. It's like we'll have people come in, we'll sit around, and we'll have a conversation. Now that's not as practical, so we're doing this stuff remotely, kind of like we do here. We're watching each other on the camera and trying to interact, and we've gotten a fairly good result. But the advantage of that is it's allowed us to reach further out for people that we want to talk to, who's going to be able to give, particular insights to stuff that we can only talk about in a general sense. So, it does make it, in one hand, like I said, some inconvenience, but it's also been advantageous
Mm-hmm.
to, increase flexibility. The other thing is, there's more demand for people's attention because everybody's used to, in their downtime is, we're watching more podcasts or YouTube videos and things like that. So, we're not as unique as we may have been just 12 months ago. So, we have to do more to, I guess, stand out, which gets back to your comment about, us allowing personality to come through. Because, the biggest challenge in talking about financial planning is, people, might be intimidated by it, might be scared, but most of all, they're bored by it.
Their eyes glaze over.
Mm-hmm.
Stephanie and I are kind of outliers that, we enjoy this stuff and we can talk about it for hours. So, we try to inject a little bit of humor into it, just, keep things light. Because it is a serious topic and it does create a lot of stress for people. And, if we can do something to educate, but also take down that stress level for people, then, we've done our job.
Yeah. Well, and I would ask Drew Griffin, if you have a moment to pull up their website. But in the meantime, I wanted to talk about one of the things that Drew, if you could actually go through the website, because I wanted to point out something, if you don't mind. When we were during the middle of the lockdown and all that stuff, you guys were actually doing a coffee and conversation type of Zoom event, which I thought was really cool because this, you saying that you are people, you saying that you're that, and actually doing it, or doing it is another thing. So the coffee and conversation was great. I know I attended, I think, at least 2 of them, and we had a great time just kind of bantering and talking about there. But we're currently on the website here, and I know that you can click on any one of these. So if you're in a situation where you're just like, hey, I have have a thing on investment management, a question on there, and regarding taxes, like you click on that, and that kind of navigates you just at least through some initial thoughts that you may want to gather before you connect with Kevin or Stephanie. And then also over the blog section over there too, I know there was some useful things on the blog where, again, here, anticipate policy, retirement changes, COVID-19, why does my investment risk change? So there's there's a lot of resources on this website that you can go to at least, again, start that thought process, start the conversation. Perhaps you have a financial advisor and somebody's been advising you for a long time and you're looking for some sort of different angle, or, I won't say a second opinion, but a second opinion essentially. Yeah. Kevin and Stephanie would be a great resource for you guys to connect with in order to do that. So thanks, Drew, for pulling that up. I appreciate it. So we have a few more minutes left here. I guess we'll go with you first. Kevin, is there anything else that you'd like to share with the audience that you want to share?
Well, the biggest thing I want to tell people is, kind of what we said in the beginning is don't overreact to whatever you think is going on. I mean, it might be important and you might need to make some changes, but just don't change for the sake of changing because you saw some headline or something on CNBC saying, oh, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. Just remember, most people who are putting out this advice, they're not necessarily giving bad advice, but they're speaking to a very general audience that, and it may or may not be pertinent to your situation. So, to use the old phrase, look before you leap would be the biggest thing. And, if you have questions, don't be scared to reach out to us. We'll be happy. You don't necessarily have to be a client. I mean, we're not going to give you, a full-blown financial plan just because you called them and said, hey, write me one up. But you got a quick question or something, because there's a lot of confusing things out there. More than happy to talk, try to clarify, a particular point for you.
Yeah, I can second that. I know I've called you on several occasions just asking you for some, suggestions or clarification on something, and you've been extremely helpful. So that's a thank you. So Kevin means what he says. You can pick up the phone and call either Kevin or Stephanie, and they'll be happy to answer a question for you. Stephanie, any last thoughts from you, please?
My big advice to everyone is always, I feel like so many people get stuck on the money stuff because they feel like they're supposed to know this stuff. They're supposed to somehow have figured it out, but no one taught me in school. Most people I talked to didn't learn this stuff in school. A lot of our families either didn't talk about money or, maybe weren't the best role models. And it's still not polite to talk about with your friends. So how the heck are we supposed to have learned it? So I think, we got to let ourselves off the hook that way. And my big motto is always, you don't have to know the answers. You have to know the questions to ask and have the guts to ask them. So get comfortable asking questions, whether it's of your spouse or partner, like, hey, what the heck do we have in our retirement plan? Or, what's the situation with the credit cards? Ask the questions when things hopefully are calm so that, if a crisis does occur, you've already kind of started the conversation. I think that's always helpful.
Yeah, that's a great point. A great point by both of you. Thank you so much.
Sure.
We will put Kevin and Stephanie's contact information in the show notes, along with their podcast. You have to at least listen to one episode, at least. I have a feeling you'll listen to more, but their podcast is very good. And I'm sorry, I guess maybe Stephanie, what platforms is your podcast available on, please?
I think it's on all the places. I think it's, it's on Spotify. I listen on the Google Podcasts app. It's on Apple Podcasts. I think it's in all the places.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. Wherever you get your favorite podcast at,
exactly.
Right? Including Chamber Chat Live.
Yes.
Nice. Well, thank you both for being a guest today. Greatly appreciate it. If you'd hang on for just a moment, I'm going to give our networking tip of the day, So we're a very short time away from Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving tends to be a time where you kind of look back and you're thankful for a lot of things. This year's going to be difficult, but I think we can also be thankful for a lot of things. And when I think about the things I'm thankful for in relation to the chamber and to the people around me, I'm just thankful that people like Kevin and people like Stephanie exist in my network, that I can reach out to them for that question. And I'm thankful for the exchanges and the interactions that we've had. I've been thankful for the invitations that I've gotten. So I would encourage you, if you maybe just, again, I've given some high numbers before, like, a dozen people to reach out to, but maybe if you just take three people and reach out to those three folks and just say what you're thankful for, and thankful for the relationship. I think that's really important and goes a long way in further building trust and a rapport with one another. So that's my networking tip. We always like to give you as much as we can here at the Tri-County Area Chamber of Commerce. So Kevin and Stephanie, thank you once again. Say thank you once again.
Yep, thank you.
So,
thanks, Bill.
Appreciate it.
yes.
Thanks, Drew.
So thanks everybody for tuning into this edition of Chamber Chat Live. My name is Bill Vitiello. I'm the Institutional and Business Development Manager with the Victory Bank. And until we connect again, all my best. Bye for now.
Thank you for tuning in. Please like, turn on notifications, subscribe, or share. Want to be a guest? Email podcast@tricountyareachamber.com.